Hi everyone, I'm Channin Pelletier here at Scrapbook.com, and I'm here to show you a fun exploding box project. This one is geared towards stampers and card makers. So let's open it up and see what's inside. You have this cute little pattern paper here. Just open the ribbon, untie that bow, and it explodes open to see these cute little colored images and your sentiment. This says, "May your year be filled with happiness." I made this little treat box to give to my friends at a crafty retreat, but there's a lot of potential. You can really customize this project, and I think it's a lot of fun. This is going to be a 2x2 box. We're going to start with a 6x6 piece of paper. I chose the 6x6 size because a lot of you card makers already have these beautiful 6x6 pattern papers in your stash. Today I'll be using the Fall Fling pad by Lawn Fawn. I love all the beautiful papers in this cute pad. We're going to start by scoring our 6x6 paper at 2 inches. So I got my scoreboard here and my score tool, and I'll just score all along the side at 2 inches. Now I'm going to rotate and score on this side at 2 inches. All the way down. I'm going to repeat this process for all 4 sides. Now that I finished scoring, I'm now going to trim off these corners. I'm going to use a paper trimmer to trim along the score line. I'm going to stop right where that score line meets another. You could also use scissors if you'd like. I'm going to line up that score line in my paper trimmer. I suggest using a blade trimmer instead of a guillotine or a rotary. A blade trimmer allows you to get a precise cut. So I'm going to start here at the score line and stop right at 2, and the blade trimmer allows me to do that. So we've cut along that first score line. I'm going to slide my paper down and cut along the second score line here. Again, stopping at 2 inches. Now we have our score lines cut on this side. I'm going to rotate my paper around and cut along these 2 score lines as well. I'm going to repeat until I've cut along all my score lines. And that finishes the base of my box. Now that I've finished my base, it's time to make our lid. I've already cut our cardstock here. This square is 3 by 1/8. I'm now going to score this lid. I'm going to load it up here in my scoreboard. And this time I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. Rotate it. I'm going to score on all 4 sides at 1/2 inch. Now that it's scored, I'm going to make a cut along the score line. You should see 2 score lines on an edge. You're going to want to cut the rightmost one and stop right when that score line intersects with another. Here's our first cut. Repeat till we do all 4 sides. Now that it's cut, I'm going to crease my score lines. I'm going to flip it over. Do it on all of my score lines. You should have 1 on each side. Now we're ready for double-sided adhesive. Okay, now we're going to add double-sided adhesive right here to the edge of this tab. You can see the cut side is right there. We're going to add the double-sided adhesive here. Now we're going to rotate and do the next tab. Now that we have our adhesive on, we're going to remove the backing and stick the corners together. And now that we've finished the lid, we actually have our whole box done. I'll put it together real quick so you can see. I'd like to grab 3 sides, hold them together, and just kind of grab that last side with the lid and close it up. There's our little box. And now our box is made, it's time for us to decorate it. We're going to start by stamping our images. Today I'm going to use this really cute stamp set by Lawn Fawn. It's called Tree Before and Afters. I'm going to use these little trees here. They represent each one of the seasons, and I think that works really well for this exploding box card because there's 4 little tabs in this box. We're going to start with one of these trees. I'm going to start with the summer one here. Just going to mount it on our acrylic block, grab some black ink, stamp that down. I'm going to stamp all 4 trees. I'm just going to finish by stamping their little faces, and now I'm ready to color. I'm going to do some real simple Copic coloring today. Start with my lightest color. Quickly just place down this light color. It's kind of like my base. I'm only going to use 2 colors or 2 browns for this tree trunk. There. And now I'm going to move on to my darkest shade. We're going to do a little shading, add a little depth to this little tree trunk. Starting at the bottom with my darkest shade, blending up. I'm going to add a little shadow too to the edge or the bottom part of each of these branches. And then I'll smooth everything out with my first shade blending over that transition. And getting any little spots I may have missed. I'm going to repeat this process for the rest of the trunks. Now that I finished the trunks, I'm going to move on to some of the leaves. These leaves are going to be green on our summer and spring tree. I got 2 greens picked out. Start with my lightest again. Color a couple of these leaves. Then I'll grab my darkest shade, add a little shadow, then blend with my light. I'm going to repeat this process for all the remaining leaves on this summer as well as this spring tree. Now that I finished the leaves, I'm going to color the flowers on this spring tree. I just have 2 colors picked out, a pink and an orange. I'm going to color the centers orange. And if a light pink, I'm just going to add a little shadow around the center of the petals. I'm going to repeat that for the remaining 3 flowers. Now that we finished our spring tree, it's time to finish up our fall tree here. We're going to color these leaves autumn colors. So I have some oranges, yellows, and red picked out, a light orange and dark orange, a light yellow, light red, dark red, and let's get coloring. Start with my light, just pick out a couple leaves here to make orange. There we go. Now grab my dark and just add a little shadow. So adds just a little bit of depth. Now move on to my yellows. Color that one yellow too. Now our darker yellow. And then we finish up with our reds. And do our shadow now with our dark red. For our last little tree here, our winter tree, we're going to add just a little shadow to the snow. So I have a really light blue picked out. Just going to add a little shadow down there and on these little bits that are on the tree. So I'm now going to die cut these out. I have the matching dies here. Just going to line them up with my image. Once I get in the right spot, I'll just grab a little piece of purple tape to hold that die in place. And I'll repeat that process for the other images. Now we'll top our sandwich off the top plate and run it through a die cutting machine. And there's our last little tree. Now we're ready to add our images to our exploding box. Okay, so now we have all our components ready to kind of finish up this box. First thing I'm going to do is stamp my sentiment. I'm going to create a little sentiment here from the tree before and after set. I'm going to arrange it here. I'm going to stamp it right at the bottom of my box. So once I get it positioned, I'm going to pick it up with my acrylic block. Grab some ink. And stamp it. I'm going to finish up with some squares. This is also cut from the Fall Fling. These are 1 1/4 inch squares. I'm going to add them into each one of these sides here. Use tape runner, add some adhesive to the back. Center them. They're going to have a nice little border of white. Do these in season order. So this one is summer. We're going to do fall next. Then winter. And of course, spring. Now it's time to add our trees. I'm going to add some dimension with some foam dots. Grab off some of these teeny ones. They're a great size for these little trees. Start with summer. Now all we have to do is finish up with a little treat. I like to use glue dots to hold that in place. Just remove, stick that down right in the center, and add our little treat. And now we can just fold this up. And top it off our lid. Last thing I like to do is just add a little twine around it just to keep it in place. And that completes our exploding treat box. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and want to see more from Scrapbook.com, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a message. Happiness is life handmade.